here
No.
do fancy camera things like right now.
It's true. Doesn't look like we have anybody in, so nobody cares.
Melody's also here.
That's true.
And she's just squirming and whining.
Boom. We've got some people. All right.
Aha! Cool. Look at us. We're famous.
Oh my gosh. Hello. I see now, but here's the thing: is so I've got this going, and I've got this other camera going, so I don't really actually know.
I told Cory that having two cameras was going to mean that no one was going to know where to look.
All right, so I need to load up.
You don't know where to look. See, now it's awkward. It's like
well,
when two people are taking a picture of you at the same time.
Welcome to the Moving to Ireland Q&A. I think I'm going to look at this one because it's live, but this one's going to be the one that people watch forever and ever.
Okay.
So I don't know which one to look at. Now it's super uncomfortable. Oh, look, there we are. Is that crazy?
Oh, no. Please don't. Now it's just too meta.
Don't worry about it. Okay, so I'm going to be there so that I can see what people are saying. Did you say it's too meta?
I said
Anyways,
it's too meta.
welcome to the Moving to Ireland Q&A. The main reason that we're doing this is because if you didn't know, I have a vlog that I do every single week. I've got a YouTube channel. And I put out a video every single week of our life and of stuff that I'm doing and just like a personal vlog, whatever. It's at youtube.com/CoryDHMiller. And so I've been... Oh, Morgan's watching. Hi, Morgan.
Hi, Morgan.
This is so exciting. Is that... I don't know how do you make it go?
Well, you're not looking at the camera right now, so...
Bosch, I think I'm saying your name right. Welcome to the live stream. Sally. Hello, Sally. Simone, hello. So it should be good. So anyways,
cool.
So I've been getting a lot of questions over the last month or two about people wondering why we're moving to Ireland, the process of moving to Ireland, what it all entails, just some different things. So we decided to do a live stream, and well, technically I was just like,
share our experience.
Yeah, let's just do a
so here
Q&A. But
we're live from Dublin, Ireland.
We're live from Dublin, Ireland, and
and we're drinking tea
because
that's the appropriate thing to do when you're doing a live stream from Ireland.
Yeah, so Emma says hi. Hi, Emma. Hello. All right, so we're going to hop right into it because we don't want to waste your time or our time because it's like 8:40 at night and we treasure our sleep.
And because we have very short amounts of time during the day when our children are sleeping.
Natasha, hi. Welcome. Okay, so first question. Where are you from? And where did you move from?
A lot of people already know the answer to this question, but some don't. So, Cory, where are we from?
Well, it's a very long and complicated answer, so let's do the short version. So, we moved from California, from Central Coast, California.
Atascadero.
I lived there for about just over 10 years. Kristiana grew up in Vienna, Austria.
I did.
Lived there for, 18 years?
I lived in Austria for 18 years, Santa Barbara for 3.5 years. And Atascadero for 4.5 years. And now we're here. So...
And now we're here.
That's the quick and simple version of where we're from. Wow. Hi, baby.
Melody, do you want to say hello?
Melody doesn't know where she's from.
Okay, second question. Oh, by the way, if you're watching live and you have any questions, let me know. Morgan is guessing. She says, California, I won. Austria, winner. Good job, Morgan. You're the best. Okay, second question. What are you doing in Ireland? What are we doing in Ireland? And why Ireland? And why Dublin? It's the most complicated question ever.
Well, it's such a complicated answer, so let's try and make it simple.
Every single time we're going to say that, so all of them are simple.
All right. We are in Ireland because we work with international teenagers, kids whose parents are from one culture living in another culture. So they're growing up between worlds. We help run a conference in the summers that moves around different places in Europe. We've been doing that for the last 5 years.
Yep.
And it's getting harder and harder to do that from far away and now with 2 children. And we wanted it to be a more significant part of our lives. So it made more sense to live in Europe. So from here, it's a lot easier not only to run that conference, but also to be more involved in the youth work. Plus, we just really like Ireland. What do you have to add? Why Ireland?
We met a couple back in 2011 that was doing. We work with a mission organization here in Ireland And for the nature of security and safety for the kids and everything, I'm not going to mention the name on this particular recording. But we work with the missions organization, and that's where these conferences are put on through, who these conferences are put on through. And we work specifically with the kids, with the teenagers of the missionary families through this organization that we work with. So in 2011, we met a couple who they were doing ministry and living here in Dublin, and we met them, and they invited us to consider moving here and being part of what they were doing here. And
they recruited us.
They kind of recruited us, so that's kind of.
We actually weren't even married at the time. We were just engaged, but.
Just engaged.
But the idea.
Now look.
Brought an idea in our minds that stuck around.
Yeah.
And here we are.
If you're watching live, by the way, welcome. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them.
You're
great. Casey says Cory is such a hottie.
Well, that's
Thanks,
true.
buddy. All right. How long are you in Ireland for? So we don't have a leave date. We basically don't have an exit plan. We have a 1-year visa right now that is renewable after the 12 months. So, after we get to the 12-month mark, we'll go back in and request for another renewal. And I think it's after 5 years of residency, we can apply for dual citizenship if we want to. But basically, we're here for the long run. We don't have any real plans to go anyplace else. But we live very seasonally. So we could be here for 10 years. We could be here for 60 years. We could be here for 4 years. We don't really know. We'll just kind of see what unfolds and what happens after.
We'll see where God wants us and where the government lets us be, and whether circumstances allow us to continue to live here. Yeah. We'd like to stay. So, next question.
When will you start working with youth? We already are. It's not as much as we will be because we're still doing like enculturation and transition and moving and everything like that. But we're already talking with kids, and we already have been over the last few years, but it's kind of ongoing.
To be fair though, since we moved here, we haven't been very active in that part of our work. We're focusing more on the transition stuff. So come Christmas, after Christmas and the New Year, there will be another youth conference, and that'll kind of kickstart our greater involvement in that part of our work, I think is fair to say.
What's it like being a mom and dad of 2 in a new culture? What was that? It's the best.
It's super hard, but it's also really cool. I would say it's really humbling because it's amazing to me how kind people can be. People just like you better when you have cute kids. At least here.
It's true. It's true.
Everybody's nice when they realize that you're struggling to fold up a stroller or a buggy, depending on where you are or what you call it.
Yeah, it's really difficult I feel like it's a difficult question because we had our second child, Melody, the small one. Rylan is asleep upstairs.
We hope.
Which is great. But we had Melody just a couple of months before we moved. And so it's hard to figure out what's like the cultural transition in having 2 kids and what's just having 2 kids. So so there's a lot of things where it's like, oh, this is so hard, but it's like not really sure if it's because we moved and had all this transition or it was just because we had a second kid. So
one thing I will say, a lot of people told us we were crazy or that the timing was bad to move with a 2-month-old. But let me tell you, moving with a 2-month-old is easy. It's moving with a toddler that's hard.
True. It's true.
So for future reference, if you ever plan to move across the world, do it when you have babies, if you can. Not when you have toddlers.
Or before.
Or before, if you're really smart.
Yeah.
Because jet lag for a toddler, man, that's brutal.
What expectations do you realize you now realize you had? A lot.
You now realize
more than I thought that we would. Yeah, I mean there are things that, and a lot of the expectations come from just growing up in one particular culture, and it's easy, especially when you're moving from one culture to another where you speak the same language. It can feel like, oh, well, it's not really that big of a jump. But there are so many things that, I mean, I lived in the States for almost 27 years. And so the process of knowing how to do things, like even something like calling customer service and expecting things to happen in a certain way works very differently here. And it's I didn't expect, I guess there was more things that I didn't expect than I expected, if that makes sense, or maybe I guess might be the same thing.
I think there's also the easy way to interpret that is sort of what good expectations did you have that turned out to be harder or more negative than you expected. But it can also go the other way, because there are things I expected to be really hard or maybe even negative that weren't, or that were easier or better than we thought.
Yeah.
We thought it was going to take a really long time and be this grueling process to find a house, and we were in this house within 2 weeks of arriving here. We thought it was going to be hard to set up internet in our house, and it wasn't. We thought it was going to be hard to get a bank account, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
We thought, I thought it would be hard to make friends, and it obviously takes time to make friends, and we've only been here for 2 months, and it also depends on how you define friends.
Right.
But I feel like we've been able to meet loads of people, and we've had we are starting to make friends, and that hasn't been hard. Actually, which is really kind of cool. So yes, there are things that we expected to be easier that were harder than we thought, but also the other way around. So
just real quick, giving a shout out to my man Casey. His birthday's today. Happy
birthday,
Casey. You're great. Miss you, man. So I think a lot of it is, no matter where you're moving to, I mean, heck, you could be moving in the same country and it could be a completely different culture. Just the things,
in
expectations.
The same state or the same.
Yeah, just different ways of doing things and all of that. So it's all about maintaining flexibility and being open to, to learning and doing life in a different way. Thanks, baby.
You're charming.
We'll have to blur that out. Let's see what we have.
What's next?
What's been a pleasant surprise?
I guess that sort of things we were talking about.
Well, I mean, the first month we were here, the weather was actually really good.
Well,
that was
beautiful.
Odd. Yeah.
And actually, it hasn't even been bad since then. I've been surprised at how little it's rained.
Yeah, it hasn't rained very much. So that was pleasant.
So maybe that's a fluke, but that's a nice surprise.
Pleasant surprise. I mean, I guess getting a place really quick was a surprise. Yeah, been good things.
Surprise.
Brea says, "What do you guys miss most about America?"
What do we miss most about America?
People, for sure.
People, for sure.
Friends, not necessarily like the
not
whole, all of
general.
The people.
We love people here too, but specific people we miss.
Yeah.
Miss Cory's family.
Yeah.
If Eddie Millers are watching.
Yeah. We miss you. Miss our friends, and we miss, the normalcy of. Jeez, bro, take it easy. We miss the normalcy of kind of knowing how to do things, and knowing that I can just text somebody and have it, I could go meet up with somebody.
Not just normalcy, but convenience, and that sounds so shallow and such a lame thing to say, but you get used to things being convenient, and especially with little kids, it can be really a bummer when they stop being convenient.
Yeah.
We have a car now, but it took us all these 2 months to get a car, and we can't even drive it yet because we don't have insurance, or it's not sorted. So 2 months without a car, not living in a super central location, is inconvenient.
Right.
And there's a lot of times that's been really stressful. So sometimes I definitely have missed just sort of being able to hop in our car and go drive to any random place that we needed to be and know where that was and know how to get there, and being central enough. I mean, where we lived before, we were so ridiculously convenient. I mean, we were across the street from our church, and we could walk to the movie theater or to the park or to yummy places to eat or a bunch of different places. Hey there, you're interrupting. And now we can't do those things, so it's inconvenient.
Yeah.
I miss that.
I also miss In-N-Out burger place in California and some other states.
Some of these are locally specific things that we miss about where we lived.
I miss In-N-Out. It's good burgers. What part... Ooh, here you go. What part of Irish culture is the most frustrating? Now, I've got to be careful here because I know I have Irish friends watching this. But it's not even just like, oh, this is like Ireland, but it's... I think the things that have been frustrating for me have been the subtle yet extreme differences between things that I learned culturally, growing up in the States. For instance, the things that are frustrating aren't even necessarily like, oh, it's a bad thing. It's just stuff that we're like constantly having to learn and think through. One of the things is that things in Ireland, they're just different value sets, and one of the values that the Irish have is not to really like rush things and to allow things to play out and just to go at a good pace. Whereas in America, it was like, especially in California, it was like,
get it done,
get all of the things like smashed up, like cram your calendar full and all of that. And so when we got here, and even times in events since, like trying to get things done, being on the phone or like being in a store or whatever, and I'm just like, why aren't things moving faster? And then I have to stop for a moment and think, it's a different pace. Like, it's a different way of doing things. It's just a different way of doing life. And so the frustrations haven't been like, I really don't like that they do it this way. It's just been learning to adjust and acclimate to things like a different speed of life,
When you expect things to take a long time and they take a long time, it's not frustrating.
Right.
When you expect things to take 10 minutes and they take 2 hours, it's frustrating.
Or 2 weeks, yeah.
Or 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, I think that's probably one of the biggest ones. Oh, you know what else is frustrating? That there's so many fish and chips places everywhere, so easily accessible.
Frustrating.
Because I'm gonna get so fat so quickly. Let's see.
But enjoy doing it.
What food do you miss most? We already did that. What parts of your house are you still figuring out? The toilets in this particular house, like you have to like crank the handle a couple of times to make sure it goes.
Still doesn't always work.
Doesn't always work.
Hey,
Mel, you're ruining the live stream.
Also, I'm still not 100% sure I know how our heaters work.
I don't really either. Oh, here's something interesting. So, and I don't know if this is like a global Irish thing. Global.
International. Wait. Sorry, everyone.
This is life.
Baby.
This is life.
This is real life with baby.
Should I just wait until she's got her...
No, you go on. We're good.
Worst recording ever. You were saying something... Oh. So if we want hot water, we actually go and turn it on. Like, we push a button and it like starts... And it heats up the water. And so it's like hot water on demand. And so that's a different thing. The outlets in our house, you turn on each individual outlet if you want to. Like, I could reach back and click a button and then the lights, or not the lights, but the outlet would turn on, like that particular one. So that's kind of different. It's kind of, I think that's cool. In this particular house, there's some strange things, like some of the light switches for the lights are like down low and oddly away from where the light actually is.
The doors don't all close or open properly.
But those are just like quirks. Those are just like
things. They matter a little more when you lock yourself in a room.
She got locked in a room last week. It wasn't
bummer.
funny then.
It's funny.
Natasha says you're adorable.
It'll get increasingly funny.
Natasha says you're adorable.
Thanks, Natasha.
Let's see. What are some of the biggest cultural differences between Ireland and the U.S.? I think this is a pretty common thing. I think just in a lot of places in Europe. and not as much in America. America is very direct as a culture. Like, you want the thing, you say the thing that you want. Like, I need to get this thing done. And in Ireland, it's not so much like super indirect, but there's a way of being direct, and there's a way of like getting to the goal that you want.
It's gentler.
And so for instance, like if I were to call the internet company on the phone and say something like, in America, I'd be like, "Hi, I'm moving into my house next Monday, and I need to make sure that there's internet set up on that day." Like that's not really how you would do things here. It's a little bit more like, "Hey, how are you doing?"
Chat with the person.
You chat with the person. It's more a little more relational. So I don't know if that's like a biggest cultural difference. That's one of the things that I've noticed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just a different value system. Then it's not like a right or wrong thing. There's just some things like that are. Yeah, haha.
You happy now?
I find that people in public, and maybe this is just my perception of city versus city, but especially here in Dublin, people are very friendly, and will actually like, they'll be willing to help, like if you're trying to load something on the bus, and maybe this is just city to city kind of a thing.
I was telling Cory today, I was at a doctor's office with Melody in the buggy, and it was up a steep flight of steps, and as I was leaving, the doctor I had just been seeing and the receptionist both insisted on leaving what they were doing to help me carry all my things down so I wouldn't have to do it by myself.
So good.
So everyone's willing to inconvenience themselves for each other. Maybe not everyone, but a lot of people are, and I think that's pretty cool. That's something I've really appreciated since being here. Okay. New question.
I'm going to stop this recording real quick and then start it again because it's about...
Oh, okay.
I don't want it to stop.
Is our lives... We're so famous.
So famous. I don't think that's the right term. So these are the ones that you consolidated from the other ones?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
What should be easy that is now challenging? Like everything.
Everything.
It's life when you move internationally. It's not just like, oh, I'm moving. There's so much involved with, especially if you're moving like intercontinentally. If you're moving to another continent.
Yeah.
There's like the flights. There's the arriving. There's arranging all of the things. If you move to a country that has a different language, it's like recalibrating your brain to receive and outceive, to input and output a different language. And I mean, even subtle things here, like that you wouldn't necessarily think about. In Ireland, these are not pants. These are trousers or jeans. Pants are what are underneath the trousers or jeans, and so it's those things where when I'm talking with someone who is Irish and I go to say pants, like my brain has to stop. I have to step back, recalibrate what I say, and then move forward. And it happens pretty quickly, but still there's so much brain power happening. And then thinking like, okay, how do I get from here to here? I don't know how to get to the local store, or I don't know what bus am I going to take and what times does it come, and none of that stuff is ingrained yet. And so it's like your brain is working like 3, 4, 5 times more, more.
Additionally, we are actually living here. We're not just tourists. So we really don't want to offend people, and we really don't want to, live up to this ugly American stereotype. So we're trying very hard to be sensitive and to not, kind of push our culture onto people. But sometimes to the point where I'm not sure how to get out of situations in the right way because I'm trying to not be offensive. But then I also, I don't know how to get out of it, where in America I would know how to get out of it. Yeah. A man came to our door trying to sell something,
He was trying to get a donation.
He was trying to get a donation. It was like a charity kind of thing. And I had no idea what he was talking about. And I was genuinely confused. And in the States, I would have just said, I'm sorry, I'm really busy and I'm not interested. Thank you.
And it was close the door.
Okay.
Close the door.
I don't want to waste his time.
Yeah.
He doesn't want me to waste his time. But here, I was like, oh, well, first of all, I'm not really sure what he's talking about. Maybe this is something I should know about in the community. But as it dawned on me that, he was looking for a donation, I realized that I should have
Just on and on.
Probably it was too late then, by that time. But I didn't know how to get out of it. I didn't know what the appropriate way was to get out. And then it was really uncomfortable because he came back later.
He did come back later. and Kristiana's standing at the door. What do I do? What do I do? And I was like, Kristiana, just say you're not interested. Like, we have to go to bed.
Anyway.
So that was kind of funny.
Should be easy. Not easy.
Yeah, and I mean, just things like building routine back into life in a new house. We were still learning how to have 2 girls, 2 kids. So I think things are getting easier as we've become more accustomed to living here. But the first month and a half were like really, really difficult.
Also, it's a lot easier to do things when you have furniture.
Yeah.
We didn't have furniture for a while.
For like almost a month.
Almost a month.
We sat on the floor, ate on the floor. It was awesome. It wasn't awesome.
It got old really fast.
What is the best city to live or work?
I mean, we don't really know all the cities, but we live in Dublin. I mean, Dublin is the capital of the Republic of Ireland, and it's the biggest city population-wise, and it has the most going on in terms of everything. I probably shouldn't say that because I'm sure there's a lot going on in other cities in Ireland that I just don't know as much about. But Dublin, I think I'm right in saying is the most international city, has the most business stuff going on. The airport in Dublin is the most international, so it has a lot more things kind of coming and going. So in terms of sort of strategic placement, Dublin makes a lot of sense. Unless you have a reason to be a different place in Ireland.
Right.
Which of course then obviously be there.
And with our particular visa, we aren't earning any income from Ireland. All of our income is coming from our jobs in the States, and then also through support from churches and from individuals and families. Mm-hmm. So we actually don't have a pulse on like what is the kind of the work salary economy here.
That's true.
But we know a lot of people who know that stuff. So
yeah.
But Natasha, here you go. What advice would you give to a married couple who are training to be missionaries who want to have kids soon? Very unspecific example. What I'm asking is, what advice do you wish someone had given you a few years ago?
So a few years ago, before Rylan, Rylan was our surprise child, and I was really hoping we would have children after moving, and it felt like much more of a crisis than it really needed to feel like that we were having a baby before we made it to Ireland. And I think I wish someone had told me, you can still do it, you'll be fine. Yeah. It'll be great, no worries. Like, you can have kids and then go and you'll be fine. Rather than, I think I had in my brain that it was going to be this impossible nightmare of a task to move with children. And of course it's hard, but everything's hard with kids, and it's going to be hard to have kids somewhere else, or it's going to be hard to move with kids. I don't know that there's one that's harder than the other. So
kids don't have to slow you down.
Well, kids will definitely slow you down, but they don't have to stop you.
That's right. Yeah, that's pretty good. I also think that I wish someone would have told me not to underestimate the amount of money that it would cost to move internationally.
It's expensive.
It's very expensive. And especially like the place that we moved into, we had to furnish completely ourselves, which is not actually very common in Ireland. It's usually like you get a place and it's already furnished, like semi-furnished or fully furnished. And the place that we found locationally and just as a house unit itself was like unbelievable for the price that we got it at. But one of the things was we had to furnish it ourselves. So like the couches and the table and the desks and all the stuff we bought ourselves. And so that may not always be the case for you, but there are just so many little things. I mean,
there's so many unexpected costs.
Unexpected costs, like tons. And if you have kids, like those things just add up the older that they get. Fast. And hey, Mark. And so I think the idea that I had in my head was like, oh, we'll be able to do everything so cheaply and there have been a lot of things that we've been able to do on the, like working with budget and everything like that. But I think my mindset of money has changed from trying to scrimp and save and see how we can do everything the cheapest, and instead turning that around to saying, how can we achieve this thing and make it the best that we can make it. And it's not about like just like pinching pennies, but it's also not about just being extravagant and just like blowing your money wherever you want it to. But it's about, I just think I would encourage you, Natasha, or whoever else in this hypothetical situation to not underestimate the amount of money that you'll need. Because I mean, heck, even being here and realizing that, there may be emergencies back in the States that one of us or both of us or all four of us will need to go back to the States for. And like, if a family member were, God forbid, to die, or even, like your grandfather is very old, and
I mean, you don't know what's going to happen.
You just don't know what's going to happen. And so it's always important to not just be like, okay, let's just like get by with the bare minimum. It's planning ahead and thinking, okay, well, what if something unexpected happens, and what if somebody steals my passport in the airport? It's like kind of thinking through some of those things and being prepared for the unexpected.
I also wish that we had learned, and maybe there isn't a way to do this, but I also wish that we learned better how to ask for help.
Yeah. It took us forever to meet our neighbors.
Because when you move to a new place, you need help.
Yeah.
There's just no way to do it alone. And American culture is so self-sufficient, and there are wonderful things about that. But it also really breeds, I don't know, it doesn't have to be arrogance, but it can also just be an unawareness that people want to help you. Like, it's amazing how many people are willing and ready to even go out of their way for you if you have the guts to ask for help, and the humility. It's a hard thing to learn if you're used to doing things yourself and kind of knowing how to do things. So it's been something we're definitely working on.
Mark said, he asked, what suggestions do you have for helping us settle during the first few weeks here in the UK? Mark and Andrea just moved to the UK today, I think,
Woo-hoo!
Or yesterday. Welcome to the side.
Yeah, you made it.
I would say two things primarily. Don't do too much. Like get some rest, get some solid good rest, because of all of this stuff, like moving internationally and everything that's involved. Like, you've been saying goodbye to people, you've been traveling, likely, you've been like all of these things, and now it's culminated in this move. Like, give yourself really good rest.
Only do the bare essentials at the beginning, and there are some, obviously,
totally.
Like getting phone things set up, getting bank things set up, getting house things set up, those sorts of things. Yes, absolutely. But if you can do one thing in a day, you're good.
Yeah, seriously.
Do one thing.
Seriously, it's like you get to the point where, like, when we first got here, I was like, I went to the store and I got eggs today, and I'm totally exhausted. You could say I was beat.
So bad. I'm ashamed that I laughed.
Oh man, that gave me heartache. Oh, heartache. No, okay. So I'm scrambling to get back on top. No.
First few days, right?
So the first few weeks, it was like, I went to the store and I got eggs today, or I walked down the street, or I met a person today. Like, that's literally those, like.
Also though, kind of on the flip side of that, it's your first days. So, go do a few fun little exciting things. Mm-hmm. Normal things will feel fun and exciting, so it doesn't have to be much. But, like, ride public transportation somewhere. Yeah. Or something. I don't know. Or go somewhere that you have either always wanted to go, or that's been on your list, or that you haven't been to, or something. And just kind of have a couple little adventures, because you're there, and, the novelty will wear off fast. So, I don't know. It's fun. That's the really fun part. There's so many other things that are stressful and dramatic and all that stuff. So the fun part is cool, and don't waste it. It's special.
but also don't be surprised when you like. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm so ready to go to bed, and you look at the clock and it's 10 a.m. You know, and you're like, I feel like I've done so much, and you go, what did I do? I called someone on the phone, and that just took everything out of me. That that happens, and that's just part of it.
Yeah.
So, but excited for you guys to be over here. It's like what,
Super
€20
excited.
to fly over, so come on over.
Not yet though.
Let's see. I want to do like one or two more.
Oh, this is a really specific thing. Someone asked about immunizations.
For Ireland?
For Ireland.
Does Ireland require any extra immunizations?
So the schedule for vaccines and shots for children is just a tiny bit different. It's really similar to the one in the U.S. I wish I could remember. There's basically only one, maybe two, that are different, but it's really similar. And basically, once past a certain age, maybe like 5 or 6, it doesn't make a difference anymore. It's not like if you come here, you will need, or your kids will need to get a bunch of shots. They don't care.
Yeah.
So that's good news.
What is the funniest thing that has happened since you've been in Ireland? You getting locked in the office was pretty. It wasn't funny
now.
It's funny now. It wasn't funny at the time. Funniest thing that's happened. Oh, that's tough. I wasn't prepared for this one. You answering the door for that guy was pretty funny.
Why is all the funny stuff about me? Embarrassing things.
I wish I had a better.
Think about it.
I wish I had a better answer for that question because it's such a good question. And boop 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 boopity boop. How has the acclimation for your kids been? Our oldest is already 6.5, and I know yours are younger, but I was still wondering. Ours are very young, so Ryland's 2.5, and this one's like 4 months.
4 months. She was 2 months when we got here.
Yeah. So the acclimation was more about like time zone difference and sleep schedules and things like that.
Well, I would say also for Ryland, just the total upheaval of her life. I mean,
yeah.
We were gradually giving away and selling and packing up and shipping things.
Yeah.
Before we left, and I think that was really traumatic for her. And then we moved, and then that was really traumatic for her. And then she was jet-lagged, and that was traumatic for everybody. Yeah. And it's only been in the last few weeks, really, that her extreme behaviors have started to die down a little bit. She's been very emotional, just lashing out. I mean, she's 2.5 too, so some of this is just she's 2.5, but also more. It was felt like above and beyond, kicking and screaming and physically fighting us and hitting other kids at the playground.
Literally, will be like, she'll come up to me and say, "Daddy, I kicked a boy." And I'm like, "What are you doing kicking boys? This is the worst." This is not something that we trained you mostly.
No, so
that was one of the funniest things that happened in Ireland.
What, Ryland?
Ryland kicking a kid,
kicking kids.
No, that's wrong. That's
really terrible.
It's terrible.
We work very hard for her to treat other people with kindness. But,
it's kind of funny.
But we have to work hard also not to laugh about it. But it has improved a lot. She doesn't scream and kick us even if she's sad going to bed now or things like that. A long time of disrupted sleep. But for older kids, from what we've heard from other friends who have moved here or to other places, I mean, a huge thing is just the social issue and making friends.
Totally.
And I think that the younger the kids, the easier that is. So, once you hit the preteen to teen level, it's just a whole new level of hard. No?
Not so much? Okay.
New question.
That's kind of everything.
What? Really? There's more questions.
I mean, there's so many more questions. But like,
we've been talking for a while, though.
Yeah, I mean, we've been on for I don't even know how long. Well over a half hour, probably 45.
Oh, yeah?
We've been on for like 45 minutes.
Sorry if we're
No, it's good.
talking too much,
I would
everyone.
say we'll start wrapping up, but I think for us moving to Ireland has been if moving culturally, like moving interculturally is there's a lot involved there, and there's so much that you can't learn until you're on the ground, but there are a lot of things that you can beforehand. I would say just understand, like, if you're thinking about moving to Ireland or you're thinking about moving to another country or whatever, just know that there's going to be a lot of strain at first. It may not last forever, but there is going to be it's hard work, and it's stretching, and it changes you, and in some ways good, in some ways that are hard. But just anticipate that it's going to challenge you very, very powerfully, and I think that's good. Like I love that there are more people moving internationally than there ever has been before. I think that's awesome. I love that. I think the world is being brought together in really, really powerful ways. I wish that living in another country meant that I wouldn't have to hear so much about the U.S. election this year, but that's
not the case.
That's not the case. Constantly have people hear my American accent. And they're like, "So who are you voting for?" And I'm like, "Batman." It's the worst answer ever. But I've actually said that.
Really?
Said that to the locksmith. Yeah,
Oh
after he got you out of the office that you were locked in.
Keep going back to that.
Yeah. So I would say don't. It's not. I mean, it's not the easiest thing, but it's also really good. So we're really looking forward to more time here in Ireland and learning more. The more that we're here, the more we want to learn, and the more that we're open. I think that it's going to be one of the best things. Going to be one of the hardest things that we ever do.
Final word to Mark and Andrea. You guys are going to do great. It gets so much easier.
Yeah.
So, be encouraged. If you feel like your first few days make you want to cry and curl up somewhere constantly, that doesn't last forever. I promise. It doesn't even last that long. So, it gets easier.
It was funny when you said that doesn't last forever. She kind of did that, and then I watched it on the. It was awesome, but
yeah.
Anyways, so I don't know if there are any
everyone.
more questions. Casey said, "What are some things you miss from the States that maybe a friend from the States could send you?" Ooh, that is Amazon Prime. Okay, that's my biggest frustration about being here, honestly.
That you can't Amazon yourself.
Is that packages take so long to get here because I have to order them.
And there's no free shipping.
There's no free shipping because I don't have it.
That
It's
is
such a lame thing to be frustrated about, but I was so used to because there was a lot of warehouses in California. I'd order something from Amazon and be there tops 2 days later, but here it's like it'll be here in 7 days. We
were spoiled.
So that changes things. Things from the States that we miss, that we want people, like candy type stuff? It's always candy, isn't it? Everyone loves candy.
I don't know.
I haven't quite figured out,
either.
what that is yet. What is the thing that I, want or need?
The problem is the things that I miss are not really things you can ship.
You can't ship people.
You can't
Not
ship,
legally.
You can't ship, good American pizza.
Or good American people.
I'm still on the food subject, but okay.
I like people better than food.
You also can't ship, certain ice cream flavors.
It's true.
Anyway.
But Casey, I'll get back to you on that.
Fresh
because
fruit, also not good to ship.
Did you rent your actual house before moving to Ireland, or did you stay at what?
Butterscotch chips. I realize you don't miss us because you don't like them.
Not at all.
But
Okay, here's a practical house living thing. Did you rent your house before moving to Ireland, or did you stay at a hotel or other place before fully moving, before the full moving really happened? If you're moving to Ireland, and this is probably the same for a lot of countries. I'm not sure what it is in the States because I've never tried it, but here there's a very relational aspect to getting a place. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think one of the main reasons we got this house, we went through a property management, so we actually haven't met the landlords. and we haven't communicated with them directly. But we went through the property managers, and we came into the house and we talked with them, we met with them, and then when we submitted our application, we also included a picture of ourselves to send to the landlords who are actually living
and our beautiful children.
And they're living in San Francisco, and so a lot of places won't let you rent a home. In fact, I would say I don't think it's possible to find a place to rent here before you move here.
Especially unless you have connections.
Right.
It probably isn't, particularly because the housing market is extremely competitive right now.
Yes.
And it does vary depending on the time of year you were to move. We moved in August, and that is a time that a lot of people are moving because it's right before the school year. So that is maybe a highly competitive time, and there are times maybe in the winter that are not as much so. But in general, there's a housing shortage in Dublin, so housing costs are really high, and the good places get snatched up really fast.
Right.
I mean, it's a day-to-day turnover. Sometimes a house will go on the market, will be available for viewing the next day, and by the next day they've picked somebody. So it's really quickly. It happens really quickly.
Like they contacted us the day after we sent our application saying that we got the place.
Yeah, and I contacted the letting agent for this house the day the ad went up.
Right. And we went in 2 days later.
And we went in 2 days later.
Yeah.
So
it's very quick, very fast.
So if you get accepted for a house, you find a house that you like and you get accepted for a house that you like, it can actually happen extremely quickly, but it's very hard to do not being present.
Right.
And people are very unlikely, because it's so relational, to choose you as a tenant if they haven't met you.
Right, exactly. So we had some friends who live here in Dublin that were going on holiday the day after we arrived, so they very generously allowed us to stay at their house. Mm-hmm. And we actually moved into this house the day before they came back, so it worked out perfect. But we were actually planning on doing Airbnb or something like that, and it would have averaged out to be the same amount per month as it would be to rent ish. So, well, either way, we were kind of planning on doing that. So there are a lot of options to get here and do that kind of stuff. It depends on your visa, depends on your passport, depends on how all of that works out. If you live in the UK, for instance, and you're trying to move to Ireland, you can like pop over for a day, meet somebody, and start working through that process, and then just like fly back. So there are certainly options like that, but it's...
But if you're watching this, it means you know us, and we have a guest bedroom, and if you're moving here, you might have a place to stay.
And if you don't know us, just forget that she said that.
Otherwise, that's really weird.
Because that's pretty creepy. No, we'll talk.
Anyway.
All right, we should wrap this up because we're getting tired. It's 9:30. I don't even know if this is recording anymore. Is this still recording? All right, we got less than 4 minutes. Okay.
Well.
All right, so let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for those of you who are watching live. Leanne, Casey, Mark, Natasha, Emily, Philippe, Bosch,
wow.
Sally, Jason.
We've got a small crowd. That's really cool.
So people have been in and out. It's been awesome. Everyone else, sorry if I didn't say your name there, but thanks for watching. If you're watching on the vlog, thanks for watching. And
you can laugh about
this
Melody
has been fun.
lying here.
If you want to watch the re-recording of this, it'll be on Facebook. It'll be on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoryDHMiller. And if you have any other questions that we didn't answer and you want me to
either of us personally or together,
just either drop it in the comments in the YouTube channel or send me a thing on Facebook. A thing. It's so late. Anyways,
message.
Thanks for watching.
Have a good night or day, depending on where you live.
Or morning. It's the worst sign off ever. So now, do I do the behind the scenes vlog part?
It's still going.
Yeah, so it's still going, but what? Too much? Too many cameras? Okay. Bye.
Bye.